Okay, so we're on really one side of him face, but I think I can last tomorrow. So it's okay that if we do tomorrow, we did after we would have but if we can stop inside of Baba by the Mishnah. Really deserves a diagram, but we'll try to do that. So the Mishnah on Tzadi Vav. We had one mention of this, but we didn't go into the details. But let's try. We know that a man cannot marry a wife's sister. That's why we had the case before. Cannot marry a wife's sister only after she died. So here the case was, he had a case before that he thought that his wife died. He married the sister, then she came back. Then the wife came. So it says he should not go back to him. Okay. The Mishnah continues a similar, more complicated case. People told him that his wife died. So the halach is that it's also to marry your wife's sister, no matter if it's half a sister, a whole sister, or even half a sister from a common father or a common mother. So the Mishnah wants to give a case. Right. Now the case was that he first married a sister from a common father. Means that he married his wife's sister who had a common father. And then they of course the case is not true. It's not a real case. You don't have to feel bad about you don't have to get emotional about it. But here it is. Mesa, then this one also died. Wife number two, the sister also died. So he married the next sister. But the next one, the next one was the common sister only from the common mother, not from the common father. It could have been 5 sisters all the same, but then one sister is a sister to all. But here the case is going to be that he married first a sister from the common father, and then the next sister, he had married a sister of the common mother. Right, it's not okay. And then she also died. You get already the pattern. And it happened 5 times. We'll start again. That was wife number 2. Mesa, she also died. That's wife number 3. And then she also died. Mesa, then a common father. It means it's going, they're not related. In between, they're not related because, and then Mesa, he had 5 sisters. So, but not the same sisters, not all sisters. A sister from the common father, and then from the common mother, and then from the common sister, common father. Veninsu, Kulo, and Kayamos. And then it comes back, the whole thing was a fake out. They all were really alive. Means he heard that 4 sisters, 4 of them had died, and he's about a 5th wife already. And then he finds out that they're all really alive. So just for the drill, it's not for the real case, just for the drill. So what's the halacha? Let's figure out ourselves that really his wife is alive. He goes back to his first wife. Is he allowed to take any of the other ones also? Is he allowed to stay? Why not?
They're sisters.
But they're not sisters. The second one, wife number 2 is a sister. But wife number 3 was not a sister to wife number 1 in any way, not from the mother or not from the father.
Yeah, but she's a sister from wife number 2.
But wife number 2 is not a sister, not a wife. No, wife number 2 is not a wife. Because since it was really wife number 1 was still alive, so the condition that he married wife number 2 was Ram B'Teilim. His wife was still alive. It's high victory, so the condition is not tofus. So wife number 2 never became a wife.
Right. Okay.
So wife number 3 is a wife. Make sense?
Oh.
Makes sense?
Why number 3 is a wife?
Because wife number 2 is not a wife.
Right.
Why should wife number 3 not be a wife? Because not be mutter, because it's a sister. It's not a sister. It's not a sister of his wife. Wife number 1 is a wife. Wife number 2 never took effect because it's a sister. So when he married the next one, it wasn't a sister of number 1. 1 and 2 were related with a common father. 2 and 3 were related with a common mother. But 1 and 3 are not related at all. So that is a marriage, right? That marriage stays. Then wife number 4 is off because she's a sister to wife number 3. And wife number 3 is a wife. And wife number 5 is also married because wife number 4 is not a wife. So wife number 5 did take effect. That's what the Mishnah says.
1, 3, and 5.
Right, that's what it says, right. Mutter b'rishon, here it is. Mutter b'rishon of shlishos of echamishes. He's mutter to marry, mutter to stay with number 1, 3, and 5. And Potter is saying also once if he would die, let's say this guy after the whole experience he died himself. So he has no children. Yeah, I can understand. And he has no children, so it has to be yibum done. So if you take one of these 3 wives, that's okay because they're all common. Wife 1, 3, and 5 are his real wives. And if you did yibum to one of them, or chalitza, so that takes care of the other co-wives because he has 3 wives. But the other ones, vasa b'shni obvious. Now, wife number 2 and 4, he's not allowed to stay with them, but because it's his wife's sister. And and if somebody, if he died and they did yibum on one of those two, it's not really yibum, it's not his wife. So that wouldn't help for the rest of the co-wives. It's really a simple case. The Yisod is good. Now it says, the Mishnah continues. The Gemara is going to say this means that if the first one really did die, if the first one really did die, so what would you say? The same story, but
the second one is then the second one's good marriage.
and then the third one,
And the third one, no.
no,
Two and four.
right. That's it. You got it. So 2 and 4 is going to be
Right.
the real wives. Okay, that's good. If he had relations with the second one after the first one really did die, this the Gemara is going to say that's what it means. Then then 2 and 4 are his real wives. What was saying, and if he died and they did even with one of them, those are the real co-wives. And 3 and 5 are not really his wives. And if he had relations, if he died and they did even with one of them, they're not the real wives. So the Yisod is simple that if someone marries a wife, so if he's Mekadesh sister, it doesn't take effect. That's the Yisod. And the Mishnah also happens to say that the din of a sister is both from a common father or a common mother. Okay, and the rest of it is just the drill. The next Mishnah is back to yevamos, and really should be a new Mishnah. No connection between what we just finished before. What we did till here was about sister, which was the Mishnah before. We talked about the wife went overseas, and he thought that she died. He married the sister. So the beginning of the Mishnah was a takeoff, whatever, of the continuation of the Mishnah before. This Mishnah starts a new point about Yibum and a Bentesha. Really should be a new page, and there's only a small Gemara. Not going to be too much Gemara on this first Mishnah that we learned, but there'll be Gemara on the next point. The next Yisod is going to be until the end of the parak. Hope to get to the end of the parak today. That Ben Tesha, he had a couple of times that less than a boy, less than a 9-year-old. We'll try to get that. I don't know if we'll try to get there. So 9-year-old, if he does a Maisa Bia, it's considered a Bia. He's a Katan. He's not yet 13 years old. He's not Bar Mitzvah. But less than 9 years old is not considered a Maisa Bia. By a girl, it has to do with 3 years old. That a Maisa Bia done to less than 3 years old is nothing. But after 3 years old, it's considered a Bia. So this is our mission is going with the fact that a Bia is only from a 9-year-old. And we had halacha that this is going to be Allah Ben Tesha Shanim also Bias Ben Tesha Kimama. That as far as Yibum, it's considered it just has the potency, let's say, of Mama. The same way that Mama we say that it's like Kedushin, but it doesn't do a Yibum. That's they gave Kedushin. So Ben Tesha, the Bias Ben Tesha makes the same effect that it would be as if it would have been Mama, not like a full Bia. So it means it's not a Yibum yet. It's not Yibum, but it'll help to be effective as much as Mama would have helped. Let's see what it says. Ben Tesha Shanav Yomechad Hu Posel Al Yidei Achin V'Achin Postin Al Yado. This goes back to the din we had that once one of the brothers did. We had the 4 things. There was Bibia, Mama, Get and Chalitza. That if one of the brothers did an act upon the Yevama and the other brothers, they're not allowed to marry anymore. That once one of them did Mamar, once one of them did Yibum, surely that's he took the wife, and nobody else's act is going to be anything. But if he did Mamar or Get or Chalitza, the other ones are not allowed to do Yibum anymore. So here it says, Ben Tesha Shanav Yomechad.
We said Mama is like the Rabbanan, right?
Right. There wasn't machlokas about it, but I think we held that Mama was only Rabbanan. Here it says, Ben Tesha Shanav Yomechad, he parcels the brothers. Post al Deyachin means that he parcels the brothers, which would mean that once he did one of the brothers is a 9-year-old, he did a Maisa Bia, there might be other brothers that are older. If a Ben Tesha Shanav Yomechad, then Yomechad means a full 9 years old. If he was a full 9 years old and he had a Maisa Bia with the Yevama, so the brothers now are not allowed to do Yibum anymore. They have to do Chalitza, but they can't do Yibum anymore. The Achin posted al Yado. And the brothers, if the brothers did something, so then he's not. Then they pass away him. He can't do Yibum anymore. If the brothers did Get Chalitza, etc.
But that's even if he's an adult, if he can't do it.
If one,
Do it his age.
one,
Oh, no, I'm saying that because he's a brother.
Right.
Anyway, even without his 9 years in one day. It's enough commitment. Is 9 years. Any other brother can't do anything because the brother.
Yeah, same difference between a katan and a gadol. A katan, since he's a katan, he's not, and he's only a Ben Tesha. His bia only affects. That does the chiddush is that his bia does affect that the brothers are not allowed to do yibum anymore because even though he didn't do yibum because he's not a gadol, but it's called like the same effect as a mama.
So we consider him like an adult.
But it's only but
In the
in
thing
this-
that his brothers can.
right. As much as it apostles them, it's not enough. They still have to do
Right.
something, but it's not enough. But it does apostle other brothers from doing. Ella and brothers also. If he did, they apostle the brothers. If they did, then they apostle this brother. Ella who posted tchila, the achin posted tchila v'sof. The way the words of the Mishnah seem to say that he apostles only if he's the first. Means if he did before anybody else did, so then his bia takes effect. But if you do a bia v'sof, means after somebody else did something, then his bia doesn't do anything.
But really, the other brothers should go before him because they're older.
Right. But here the point is that his bia, the way the Mishnah says, we're going to see the more changes right away. But the way the Mishnah seems to say is that his bia is only betchila. That means only if he was before anybody did anything else. But if somebody else would have done get or ma'amar, then his bia wouldn't have any effect. That's what it seems to say. But the achin post and tchila v'sof, but the brothers, their act, which is already a gadol, so their act takes effect even if they were after something was done. Even after he did something, their effect was. We had also about yesh ma'amar chamar, yesh gerach haget. That's where the sugi is coming in. Ketzad, what do we mean to say? If this 9-year-old had relations with the yevamo, so he passes the brothers, they can't do even anymore. The opposite, if the brothers would have had relations with her, or asuba mama, or naslu get, so any one of these 4 things. Bia, mama, get, or chalitza. So then he can't do any personal yador, then he can't do any more yibum, because they already did an act, and their act is even, what the Mishnah says was even after he did something. Even after he did something, it's not that let's say he did bia,
The 9-year-old.
the 9-year-old did bia, and then they did, so he apostles the brothers, and the brothers can't do anymore. But if the brothers would do something, then the apostles them back. He wouldn't be able to do yibum either anymore. Let's say the 9-year-old did yibum, and nothing happened until he grew up. He could.
In the meantime, the brothers gave chalitza.
Well, let's say they didn't. Let's say they didn't do anything. Then when he gets old, he'd be able to do yibum. But if the brothers did chalitza or mama or get or chalitza, so then he can, the apostles him also.
The 9-year-old who did the yibum is not found.
Here it says that it's only as din of a mama. Could be I'm forgetting the city now. Could be midrabanan. It's not could be midrabanan. So we'll be good. I don't remember the city.
So then the other brothers, if they do a ma'isa yibum or any other ma'isa.
So then they apostle him. They apostle him. And even if they would do.
If he did yibum and he's 9 in the day.
So it only takes effect that apostles the brothers, but only because he was first. If he would have been second, then his bia doesn't do anything. That's what it seems to say. The Gemara is going to change this right away. First, the Gemara goes back to the first mission. The first mission spoke about the case with the 5 sisters. So there was one point that I said already, but the Gemara doesn't see it in the words, that it says, we had the 5 sisters, and it says that, I said this means that if the first one really died.
Right.
So it doesn't say that openly. The Gemara has to work it out. It just says if he had relations with the second one after the death of the first one. Of course, that's the whole case. They came and told Mary she died. And each one's like that. They said she died, then he married the next one. She died, married the next one. So what does it mean here that he came to the second one after the first one? That's the whole case. The Gemara says it means after she really died. That's what the Gemara says. So we learned it like that, but the Gemara has to speak it out. All the cases are that he only married a sister after the previous sister died. After it really happened, that the case was really that the first one died, so then the second one is a good marriage, and so was the fourth, but the third and the fifth are not. So that was the first round of the Mishnah, and the Gemara doesn't have anything else to say about that part of the Mishnah. And then it goes on to the second halacha, which we just said, that Ben Teisha Shana V'Yomechad, it says that he only passes B'tchila. It says only if his act, that he acted upon the Yevama, that he did Yibum, he did a bia, it only takes effect if it was first, if he did it before anybody else did. But if other brothers did something first, let's say they did Maimer, and then he did bia, then it sounds like it doesn't take effect at all. The Gemara right away says that it's not so. He only has effect if he was the first, but if he was after somebody else did something, then it doesn't take effect.
If other brothers have regarded them,
Yes.
what effect? Yeah,
Let's say they did. So there's a din, yesh ma'amar chamar, yesh bia chabia. So maybe here also, yesh bia chabia. Maybe that means also that the second bia that he did might have taken effect, that it should pass all the first one. They shouldn't be able to go back. Or if he did the first one, did a get, and now he did this bia. So maybe it should affect the other ones also. I don't remember all the details, but let's take the simplest case. The first one did an adult did Maimah, and then he did this bia. Could the first one go back and say, I did Maimah first, I get her? Or no, because he puzzled. So here the Mishnah says, no, the second one, the Katan, the Ben Teisha, his bia doesn't pass only if he was first. If another brother did Mama, and then this Ben Teisha did bia, and the first one that did Mama wants to take her. I did Mama first. So the Mishnah seems to say that it could, because the Bias Ben Tess doesn't take effect only if it was Betchila, but it wasn't Betchila, so the first one got it. And the Gemara is saying, no, it's not true. This Mama's case, that an adult, one of the brothers did Mama, and then this Ben Tess, he had beer with this Yevama. So it says he can't go back, the first one can't take her, because the beer of the Ben Tess, even the Sof, also has an effect. That's against our Mishnah. So the Gemara is going to edit the Mishnah in order to fit with the Brisa. The Brisa said that the Ben Tesha is a beer, is even a beer of the Sof, not only B'tchila. That's against the Mishnah. So the Gemara is going to edit the Mishnah. Amri, so we say, first of all, it says it without editing, and then the Gemara is going to say, you have to edit the Mishnah. Beer apostle apila b'sof, but Mama atchila apostle b'sof l'apostle. Here, throwing in a new thing we didn't talk about. Does the Katan, this Ben Tess, does he have the power to do Mama? We didn't talk about it. We just talked about that he has the power to do beer. His beer is worth something. Is his mama worth something? Is his get worth something? The Mishnah doesn't say. The Mishnah sounds a little bit like it doesn't. But yet the Gemara is saying that he has beer and he has mama also. And the beer, what?
You think his get, he's not a.
He's saying he's nothing. He's a Ben Tess. That's what we must not talk about. There's Ben Tess.
Double Chalish. He's got two minuses.
He's a
the
Katan.
Asian one that he only did minus.
We're saying now that the Katan, this Ben Tess, we'll call him a Ben Tess, so he does have the power to do any one of these four things.
At the beginning.
But the rest of them, so the rest of them, the other things, mama, chalitza, get, only is effective if it was first. But the Mishnah says that the bia is only good if it was first. Doesn't mean that. The bia is good even if it was second. It means we're changing around the Pashut reading of the Mishnah. So far doesn't read at all, but it's saying bia passes even so. The case we said that a big brother did mama, then this Ben Tess did bia.
Yeah.
So it does pass on the first brother, because even though it's besof. But when do we say that Ben Tess is only betchila not besof? Only as far as the other things, as far as mama, bia pasal afilu besof. But mama tchila pasal besof la pasal. And the Gemara is surprised because the Mishnah says against it. The Mishnah says that bia is only betchila. That's why we read the Mishnah like that. The Gemara says bia afilu besof pasal. The Mishnah says not like that. Vaktani ella shehu posel tchila vehein tchila besof. The Mishnah says openly that the bia of the Ben Tess is only if it was first, and the bia of the other brothers is tchila v'sof. And the Mishnah says Keitzab and so then he apostles, and the brothers apostle even afterwards. So the Mishnah says openly, the way our Mishnah says, it says that the bia of the Ben Tess is only b'tchila, not v'sof. So how could you just say that it's even v'sof? It doesn't say that. So the Gemara says to change the Mishnah, something's missing, and the Gemara is going to say the Gemara is going to change it up to say that the bia is even v'sof. And what the Mishnah comes to say, the difference between this brother and the rest of the brothers is as far as mama and other things. That over there, the other brothers have it even besof, and he has it only betchila. This is the way I should say. That the Ben Tess is only if he was first, and then it has an effect. But the other brothers who are big, who are gedolim, then it helps even. It has effect even if it was besof. But that's as that's as far as mama. That the katan also has a call to do mama if he was first. But if it was not first, his mama is worthless. The other brothers who are gedolim, their mama, yesh mama chamayma, even if they would be second, their mama also takes effect and is going to pass on the first brother. Avalbia poselas afilu bisof, and stick it into the Mishnah. But the Mishnah says that there's a difference between the young brother, this Ben Tess, and the older brothers is only as far as mama goes. Avalbia poselas afilu bisof. And now the Mishnah says Keitzad. Keitzad Ben Tess shanav yamechad laval yevimto pasal al beyachin. If he was second, even not the way the Mishnah reads now is even if he was second, also his beer will pass.
I want to ask a question. Isn't it a clear cut error? The
Why
first
is it
brother
that?
did mimer, and the second brother doesn't that commit her?
But on a derisa level, we would say no. Let's say mom, he said mama's rabbanon only. So even though he did something like he gave in his registration, so to speak, like he's the one who wants to do it, but it doesn't take effect with the raisa. So if another brother would do yibum, so with the raisa would take effect. The second one would take effect. But here we're just talking about puzzling. Which one puzzles? So we're talking about that a mama puzzles the other brothers, and here we're talking that one did mimer, then another one did mimer. Does puzzle the first one? The first one puzzled the other one, but the other one it did mimer first. But then the other ones did mimer also. Did they puzzle? So it says that a katan, his beer helps even if it was besof, has effect to stop the other brothers, but his mama is only worth something if it was first. But if it was a mama after somebody else, then it doesn't. But you have to change the Mishnah. The Mishnah doesn't say it the way. The Mishnah talks about beer. You have to change the Mishnah. The Mishnah talks about mama, and beer of the cotton is good even besof. Good means that it has an effect. But the Gemara is surprised that this new chiddush that a katan has mama. We didn't know that. It means if you read the Mishnah, it sounds like there's no such thing. The most the katan has is only bia, and that also only betchila. Now we're saying two chidushim that the bia is even besof, and he also has mama betchila. That we didn't know. So the
What
Gemara,
is it baldas? Are we holding he's a baldas?
he's a bentes. He's a bent. He's 9 years old. So
There must be some limitations to about
these questions these things seem to be Rabbanan. The whole issue seems to be Rabbanan. So the more surprised that he has ability to do mamar. Umiyasle mamar klal. Does a bentes have the ability to do mamar at all, even betchila? Klal al yidei achin. Vatanya bentes shana v'yom echad hu posel the davar echad v'achin posel nazidado ba'arbet varm. The Brisa says that the katan, the bentes, only has possibility to do one thing. And the other brothers, the big brothers, have the possibility to do 4 things. And what's it going to say? That the katan, the bentes could do bia, and they could do bia, mama, chalitza, get. So it doesn't say openly, it seems to say openly that the katan doesn't have the ability to do mama at all. We said 2 chidushim now. We said the katan could do bia even baso, is effective. And mama, and these things, he does have betchila. Here the Brisa seems to say, try to highlight that one. It says, who posel the davar echad, v'achin posel alei arbet dvarim. That he has one, they have 4. What does that mean? The Brisa explains, who posel the achin bebia. No, recently changed it already. But as far as the bia at all, it says he posel. V'achin posel the other bebia, b'mama, b'geta, b'chalitza. So doesn't it say openly that he doesn't have the power to do these things at all? The Gemara looks at the Brisa superficially. It's not superficially. What it seems to say is that he doesn't have the koach to do mama, get, or chalitza at all. He only has koach to do bia. And now we're saying a new chiddush that if he was first betchila, then he has the power to do these things also. Isn't that against the Brisa? So the Gemara answers bia the pasla bein betchila bein besof psikole. Muhammad the betchila pasla besof lo pasla lo psikole. The Brisa is not talking about what he has the power to do at all. He has the power to do these things, but only betchila. The Brisa means to say which thing does he have the power to do even besof. So then it says a good chiluk that he has one thing and there are 4 things because he only can do bia besof, and they can do even mama get chalitza also besof. So that's why the Brisa differentiates between him and them. But as far as doing it with chila, he could do any one of the 4 things with chila, and mam and bia he could even do besof. That's the end of that Gemara. Itmar nami amar Rav Yehuda Shmuel yesh lo get. Shmuel said that a katan has ability to do a get. It means of course it's not a get, but it means that as far as Yibum goes, the get has an effect that the other brother shouldn't be able to take her anymore. If one of the brothers gives a get, it's Rabbanan, but the Raisa get is nothing for Yibum when they should see a Yevama and they give a get. That's not what you need, either Yibum or Chalitza. But we had this a long time ago that the get does accomplish that no one else is allowed to take her anymore. And even the get of a katan also has that effect that no one else should be able to take her.
At the beginning?
Only in the beginning.
So
Those are the 3 things.
that he can do.
Right. Then he has 4 things, betchila, but if Besof he only has 1. Betchila, if he was the first to do one of these 4 things, takes effect, he passes to other brothers. But bia is even Besof. Even if they did something first, mama, then he did bia, he also is going to pass. But so Shmuel said that also, that yesh lo get, that a katan has the ability to give a get to pass to other brothers. And similar to that, he said that as far as mama, the katan's mama is also worth something. Even though it's only a katan, he's a bentes. If he did mama, it passes to other brothers. The Brisa says so, but Meir says he has both abilities. He could do get, he could do mama. The Brisa before said he could do chalitza also. That I think the more talk the Brisa, it says that he has all 3 of them, I think, the Brisa said, but that's only betchila. But besof he only has bia. The rest of the Gemara till the bottom of the page has a problem with Rav Meir. The Rav Meir is the one who told Rav Meir said that. Rav Meir said yesh lo get v'yesh lo mama, that a katan has the ability to do get or mama. For several Rav Meir yesh lo get v'atanya. The Brisa says asu bia spentes kemama b'gadol, that they made the harmis b'rabbanan that the bia of a 9-year-old is the same effect as a mama of an adult. Rav Meir Omer also chalitzas ben tesha ki get begadol. The Gemara is going to talk about this one word over here. It says that he wants to say that the chalitza of a ben tes also takes effect. Here it says chalitza takes effect. It means that he's going to pass on the other brothers. If the katan did chalitza, so it's not a good chalitza, but it takes effect that the other brothers cannot do even anymore. But when he wants to say that it has an effect, he said it's as if a gadol would have given a get. Those are the words of Rav Meir. Here it goes. Also chalitzas ben tes ki get begadol. If Rav Meir holds that a katan also could give a get, so he shouldn't have said ki get begadol. He should have said ki gito. His chalitza is like a get. If Rav Meir would hold that the katan has ability to do a get also to pass on the other brothers, so he shouldn't have said that the chalitza of a ben tes is like the get of an adult. he could have said that it's like his own get. His own get also would have passed. If it's true that the katan, the bentes, has the ability to do a get, listening kigito, it shouldn't say kiget with gadol. It should have said kigito that the chalitza is as bad as his get. It's much like he doesn't have a get. On Ravuna Beid of Yeshua, Islay Vizuta. He has the ability to do a get, but it's less than the get of a gadol. Means we're saying that the gadol has the ability to do a get, and the katan has the ability to do a get, but not the same. The gadol has his get is more potent, and the Gemara is going to say in what way is it more potent. That means that we had a sugya before, it's a whole parak of Gamliel, ein gerach get. Means if he holds ein gerach get, they wouldn't say yesh gerach get. Means if one of the brothers gave a get, does it, and then another brother gave a get, does that second get have any effect? Or the case would be if you have two yevamos. There were two yevamos and one yavam, or different cases that we spoke about over there. So here, Rabbi Gamliel holds that after a get, the second get doesn't take effect. So now he's going to say that the get of a katan does have an effect, but not as much as a gadol. What does he mean to say? That the shita that says ein gerach get, that's only if it's a get of a gadol after a get of a gadol, or the get of a katan after the get of a katan. Both of them are the same potency. But avo gadol acha katan mahani, that even though usually ein gerach get, but if the first get was a get of a katan and the second get was a get of a gadol, so then that is more potent. The second get will take effect after the get of a katan. That's according to Rabbi Gamliel. It was usually ein gerach get. According to one who say yesh gerach get, so there's also going to be a way how we're going to say that the get of the katan is not as potent as the get of a gadol. So then yesh gerach get. But if first the gadol gave a get and then the katan gave a get, the katan get is not as strong as the gadol, so even they will hold that ein gerach get. So more or less, we changed the Mishnah. The Mishnah, that there were two Mishnahs. So one was about the 5 sisters, which was easy, I think. And then the second case was the din of the ben test, that it says after the Mar fixes it up, it comes out that the katan has his bia is effective even if it was the sof against the Pashut Pshat of the Mishnah, even after the other brother did mimer. If the katan had a bia, it also apostles the other brothers. And as far as the katan being able to do the other 3 things, mamar, chalitza, and get, if he was tchila, even though the Mishnah doesn't say that, after the Gemara fixes it up, it says that also. So 2 Chedushim that the Gemara comes out, that the katan, the ben test, has the power to do mamar, chalitza, and get if it was tchila, and he has power to do yibum, and the bia, to pass the other brothers, even besov. We turn to Talmud Beis.
Assuming that were preceded,
That's what tchila means.
Only a mimer and the rabbanim.
Right. Yeah, if there was a yibum that somebody else did, so then
so then the kid
right. Ein achayibum klum, ein achachalitza klum. Then it's
so
all
the
right.
only is that
When it was only mama.
Right.
Mama will get. The next Mishnah. Ben the Amud Beis.
Because kid is also the rabbanim.
Yes. The rice is only on the yibum and the chalitza. Amud Beis. Ben Teshan v'yom echad shebo al yivimta. V'achar kach bo aleha achiv shehu ben Teshan v'yom echad. 2 brothers. Both of them were only ben tes. Both of them were not bar mitzvah. Both of them. Oh, one was 9 and one was 10. One was 11. Like this means that they're past ben tes, but they're not yet bar mitzvah. Means less than a ben tes is not called a bia, but once you say ben tes, it's called a bia. So ben Teshan v'yom echad shebo al yivimta. So there was Yevama, and they had these 2 brothers. One of them had a beer with her, and then the other one also did. That the second beer is going to pass to the first brother. The first brother, he did a beer, and he could have taken her eventually. When you become a gadol, he's allowed to marry her. But and we said that as the din of a mama. But now another brother, another bentes, did a beer. So it's just finished saying that a beer apostles even besof. That's what happened over here. The beer, and it says here that apostles even besof of the first one was a beer. Even that you might say that the same strength and name beer beer, but here it says no, that he does that. The second one does apostle the first one. That even though the first one is not considered a full beer, both of them are bentes. So the chiddush is that the second one apostles the first one. He can't take it anymore. And Rav Shimon Omer Lo posel, he doesn't. And the Gemara is explaining right away because it says. We'll see the Gemara in 2 seconds. It's going to say that if the first one was a beer, if you consider it a beer, then she's already taken. It's like a gadol that the second one is nothing. And if the first one is nothing, the second one is also nothing. So why should he pass the first one? But the Rabbanan say that it does pass, the Rav Shimon says not. A new case, Now starts a new case. That the din is out once you do yibum, so not supposed to do the tzara anymore. Here he had relations with he did yibum. He's only a bentes, but he did yibum. But then he also did yibum to the co-wife also. So post atzmo. So he apostles himself. Means he can't go back to the first one anymore.
And the same one is not chal.
And both of them, you can't take. Does Rashi say anything over there? Pasla Rishona Alatzmo, the coach came to Shnia. Both of them. Rashi says that he can't take the Baisach of the Bona, Vein Bona Shnei Batim. And since Chivin the Enviasa Barishona Kinyan Gamor, Manya Bia Shnia Latzricha Get, Chivin Diav Get, Come Kuli Besa Bayibana. That he had relations with both the Yavama and the Tzara, I mean, two of the co-wives. So since the second one would need a get, so then he can't stay with the first one either. So that's what, and Reb Shimon again argues, Reb Shimon Amaloposa, that the second bia is nothing. Both times he says the same thing, that if once the first one was a bia, so then the second one is not a bia. He said in two cases. One was when there were two brothers that were ben test. Second case is one ben test that was brought both on the Yavama and then it's
reasons because of his it's a lot less.
Reb Shimon seems to be more logical. No, Reb Shimon is being consistent. Is it considered a bia? Then the first one is in and the second one is out. And if the second one is something, then if the first one is nothing, the second one is also nothing. So Reb Shimon seems to be consistent. So Rabbanan probably made a gzera over here. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon l'chachamim in bia rishon bia, so bia shnia ain't a bia. Then bia rishon ain't a bia, bia shnia nami ain't a bia. Rabbi Shimon's being consistent. He's saying that if the first one is something, so then she's taken it already. The first the ben test, so then the second one shouldn't count at all. And if the first one is not considered anything, then the second one also shouldn't be considered anything, and he should be able to go back to the first one again. So the Gemara just explains Rabbi Shimon's far, it doesn't explain the Rabbanan's far. And then a big dot over here. We make a period over here. I think this is a new point. Masnisen, what's that? And the rest of the Gemara is now a new Gemara. Masnisen lo kebenazai. Tanya benazai omer yesh mama acha mama b'shnei yevamim v'yevama achas vein mama acha mama b'shtei yevamos v'yevam echad. Means the Gemara is bothered by the end of the Mishnah. The end of the Mishnah says that you have a case of two yevamos and yevam echad. That's the end of the case, right? That he had relations with both Yevamos, with both Tzaros, right? So our Mishnah says that because both of them were one, this was a ben test, so that's why postal al deyatzmo. And Reb Shimon says ain't a postal because manavshach, but the fact that postal al deyatzmo would hold that if it would be the Rabbanan hold, what does he say? Ben Azai says. Ben Azai says that this case of how does it go? That's our case. Shtei Yevamos v'Yavam Echad means it was one Yavam that had Mama. Here the case is Mama talking about. One Yavam did Mama to two Yevamos, means two co-wives. He says here that the Mama doesn't take effect. The second one doesn't do anything. So here we're saying that a Bias Ben Tess has din of a Mama. So then the case of the Sefer shouldn't be true. It doesn't take effect. The second one shouldn't pass. Here it says that Ben Teshan of Yamecha Shaval Yavim Tavacha Bal Sirasa posted al Yadav. And as he holds that even if it would have been an adult, it wouldn't have passed because not an adult. If it would have been a Mama, what do you hold the Bias Ben Tess is like a Mama? So Mama Achamama, he says Ein Mama Achamama B'Shtei Yevamos V'Yavam Echad. This case of one man that had two Yevamos, the two Tzaros. So if it would have been Mama, the second one wouldn't take effect, wouldn't pass. And here he says that the Bias Ben Tess, which has the din of a Mama, the second one, if he had relations with the Tzara, it does pass. So that's against Ben Azai. Our Mishnah is going against Ben Azai. The Mishnah holds that even if it would have been a case of one Yavam or two Yavamos, so he did Mama to both of them, also the second Mama is going to pass the first one. New Mishnah. I think the rest of it is easy. I forgot. Bentesha Shanu V'Yom Echad Shabal Yavimto Umeis. What would you say about this? 9 years. What?
It's not there.
Bentesha V'Yom Echad that he was a Yavam. He was in the parsha of Yibum. He was a brother. His brother died without children. He was the Yavam, and the other brothers also. But he did a bia, and then he died. The Ben Test died.
So who made best? He made Mimer, right?
He did. This was Mimer, right? So now, could the other brothers do Yibum? There are other brothers around. The one brother died without children, and then the Ben Test did.
Say yes because it was only the Rabbanan. And he's not allowed.
And he died. And how about the fact that he died? He died now, so do Yibum for him. So his marriage is not really a marriage. But Rashi says that we're going to the sugya here about Zika Shnei Yevamim. Here's the Rashi that says, Sheish Allah Zika Shnei Yevamim. We had a similar case that here she's falling because of two brothers. Of course, one brother is at the right, the other brother is going to be Rabbanan. But she's falling to the other brothers because of two brothers that died. She was as if she was married to two brothers. We had a similar case when one of them did Maimar. If it would have been a case that one brother died, then the second one did Maimar, then he died. So she's falling with as if the Maimar would have been like a marriage. So she's falling to the other brothers because of two brothers, like as if she had two husbands that died. The case is good.
But the first brother also.
So one brother, forget about that. That's the Maimar case. Then we get to the one brother died without children, and then there were five brothers, whatever, a couple of brothers. One of them did Maimar.
And also their kids.
Adults. He did Maimar, and he's ready to marry her, but then he died. So now the other brothers are there. So the they should do Yibum, even on two counts. So it says no. The fact that it's coming on two counts, it's coming from both brothers. It's coming. She's falling to Yibum because she had two husbands that died. Again, because the one of the Maimar is like a Chatzi husband. It's a Chatzi husband. So that it says that then you don't do Yibum, just do Chalitza. Not that if she has coming from two husbands. So here it says that the Bias Bentes also has that effect of like a Ma'amar. So as if she's falling also from the Bentes. So there's no, the other brothers don't do Chalitza, don't do Yibum, the rest do Chalitza. How about this is a case not do with yevamos? Nasa Isha Meis. What's the din if a Bentes, he married somebody and he died? Is the Yibum? A Bentes married and then he died. Is there Yibum? No, that's about Yibum. You were talking about that was other case. He was a Yavam with that. The first case was he was a Yavam. And since he's a Yavam, so there is a Zika over there. The Torah obligates to get married, but have to wait till he gets bigger. Here the case was a new case, off the street. Now that do it Yibum. The first time marriage. A Ben Tess, he married a woman. And then he died.
What's the idea that he has to wait till he's 12 years old?
The Gemara talks about it. Not over here.
Is that 9-year-old?
There's a Chiv Yibum. There's surely a Chiv Yibum. There's surely a Chiv Yibum. The question is, the question, Yibum told me the first case with Yibum, there's surely a Chiv Yibum. You have to, as long as he's an old man, but you have to wait maybe till he becomes an adult. The Gemara talks about it.
He's already been there.
Right. So I think Rav Meir talks about that maybe he'll be a Saurus. So when you're Choshesh for Rov. I forgot to say over there, but maybe there's a chance that maybe he's going to be a Saurus. But without that, maybe it would be a good beer. But I forgot the details again. But here we're talking about the next case is that Nasa Isha Vames, nothing to do with Yibum, nothing to do. He married a woman, a Bentes, and then he died. Is the Yibum because of him? Says Arezu Ptura. Why? Because not a marriage at all. Yes, we know. There's no marriage to a katan. A katan marries such a thing. No such a thing. You have to be a gadol. A woman, there's a good thing. A father marries a law to such a thing, but by a katan, there's no such thing. Even with Rabbanan, there's no marriage to a katan less than bar mitzvah. He can't do a marriage, so that's why if he died, then there's no yibum to his wife. He's not a wife. Next case. How about this case? Both cases together. That first he felt he was a yavam because his brother died, and there was a zikah to him, and he had relations with that woman. Let's say, but then and then he didn't have any relations with her again yet, and then he became bar mitzvah, and he really married somebody else. She has two wives. One he got from Yibum. His brother died, and he was a Bentes, and he had relations with the Yevamos. That's like Mama. And then he got bigger. He became 13, and then he married somebody else. He has another wife now. The second wife is the real wife. His first wife is only like Mama because he didn't do Bia yet. If he never had relations with the first one. When he became bar mitzvah, he became a gadol. So the second one is a real wife, right? So the second one has to get chalitza or yibum. The first one could be only chalitza and not yibum. And why is that?
Maybe it's not a marriage. It's not a marriage. He never lived with her when he was a god.
But there was a yibum over there, and it was like a mama. Why is it? So here, the one thing that has something to do with yevama that is coming called Shnei Yevamos. It's coming from the brother, and what? It's coming from the brother. Below Shallah Zika Shnei Yevamos. What am I saying? Yeah, that's what's happening. That the first one, he was Bal Yevimto. And now that he died, right? I got the case right, and he died. So the way this is, the bishops are putting together the first two cases. First, they had a case about the Yavam that died. The Katan did this Ben test did a Ma'aseh Yibum, and he died. And the test we said the reason is because of Zika Salah Shnei Women, that she's falling because two brothers, the original brother that died, and now that this Ben test did like a mimer, so she's falling because him also. When it comes like that, then it's Chalas Islam Shebemis. So this case is the same case. It just has another wife also, just putting both cases together. It's doing how do you call it, superimposing? It's putting both cases together. One case was the Reisha, there's the and the second case is that Nasa Isha. So, but here the second case was no, she was a katan. But here the case is, I'm sorry, it's not that's not combining the first two cases. The second case he was a katan. But here it's putting a case where he married a real wife after he was bar mitzvah already. That's a real wife. So the real wife, there's a regular chalitza or yibum. But the first one is just chalitza because, and that one, there's two chalitza zika shnei yavamin because the original husband had died, and also this katan who did a maimah and died, so she's coming mikorachim also. So then it's only chalitza. Reb Shimon Omer miyabim lezer sheyitzav v'cholis shniya that he could do yibum to either one and do chalitza to the other one. So Rashi says that Shimon doesn't hold of this chash about Yeshala Zika Shnei Yevamim. So therefore he says you can do Yibum also. I guess in the Reish also he would argue and say that in the case of Bentesh Shanav Yom Shabal Yevim Tov Meis, you can do Yibum also. I think Rashim is arguing over there also. And the Mishnah ends off, Echad Shu Bentesh Shanav Yom Echad, Shu Ben Esrim, Be'echad Shu Ben Esrim, Shalei Vishtei Saras. Everything we said about all these Mishnahs, we spoke about a 9-year-old. So there's no difference if he's 9-year-old or he can be until the 20-year-old. If he doesn't yet have pubic hairs, that he didn't bring physical maturity, he also has a din of a katan. That he could say that it's called a Ma'aseh Biyah because he's 9 years of age. But as far as being a gadol, he's not a gadol because he didn't bring 2 hairs. So there's no difference if he's 9 years old or he's 20 years old.
His beard is like a minor.
Right. That even if he's 20, if he didn't yet bring 2 hairs, so then he has still a din of a katan. But he's a bentes, same as a bentes. Amar Rabba, Hadam Rabban, Zika Shnei Yevamim, Mechlitz Cholza, Yevum Milo Miyabba, Lo Tema Echa Dika Tzara, Dika Lemigzam Mishum Tzara, Da'achal Leka Tzara, Mechlitz Cholza, Yevum Milo Miyabba. This din that we had other places also, that if there's a woman that has the Zika of 2 Yevamim on her, so then you don't do Yevum, only Chalitza. Don't say that it's only when there's a Tzara. Then you could, that there's more reason to say only to do Yevum because you might think Gzera because of the Tzara, that you might do I don't know. I'm not clear on this yet, but because over here you see there's no tzara and still there's only chalitza and no yibum. I'll try to come back tomorrow with more clarity.
What's the case where there's no tzara?
Here in the Mishnah there is no tzara. The case of the Mishnah that has a case of Zika Shnei Yevamim, in this case for Ben Teshan and Yenecha Shabal Yevimto Meis Chalas Islam Shabamis, there is no other brother. The case we had before, the cases we had were where there was more than one brother, and over there there's more chash to make the issur that it shouldn't do yibum only chalitza. But over here, there is no case. The case of the Mishnah is that we're giving it a din of Zika Shnei Yevamim, and there is no other brother. So there's no other tzara. Rashi on this? Kigon. Hach Darbo Achin. The Tnan Gimel Achin, the Suin Gimel Achrios, and Meis Echad Meyan, Fasa Basheni Mama, Meis Have'elu Cholzas Lo Mesiabos, Famina the Gemara, because Zikas Pei is Yerab, the Raisa Chalitza Nami Lo Tiboy, with Rabbana, Gzer Shem Yom, Shtei Yevamos Abos, Yibai Sechad Mesiabos. The reason why there's more reason to make a chashash is because people might think that it's 2 yevamos from the same house. So the other case would be that if he does yibum to both of them, it could be that people will think that he's doing yibum to 2 wives of the same husband, and they're surely not supposed to do yibum. Here you see that the din of Zika Shnei Yevamim is even if there's no tzara, we also don't allow to do yibum only chalitza. Nasa Isha B'Meis. So it says in the Mishnah, if he was a regular kid that married a woman less than bar mitzvah, so it's nothing. And if he dies, there's no yibum. Kinin al hadatanu rabbanan, shota v'katan shenasu u'meisu n'shosem b'tos b'nachalisim b'na'yibum. We have a Mishnah here, right to what it says in the Brisa, that a shota katan that married is nothing. And therefore, if they die, their wives don't need chalitza and yibum, nothing, because it's not a marriage at all. A katan can't do a marriage. A katan doesn't have the ability to do a marriage. We learn many times about a ketana doing a marriage. That's if the father married her off, then it's kedushin d'oraisa. If not, then it's kedushin d'rabbanan. But by a boy, there's no kedushin d'rabbanan less than bar mitzvah.
He lived in the Rabbi Shimon,
There's no, here was not Rabbi Shimon. I'll just read the Gemara. I don't know it well. Whoever came late, I introduced that. I don't know the Gemara well today. And the piece that we skipped also, the Mamish didn't learn this. I'll try to do it tomorrow also. I didn't have time and I wasn't feeling well, so all the excuses, but I don't know it. After all the excuses. But we'll try to read a little bit. There's ending off with a story over here. There's an Agadat over here. So even though I don't get the Gemara part, but we get the Agadat part. The Gemara Sakasha, the Yasu Bias Bentes Kemamir Begodo, the Titchet Sor Miyibu. What did it say over here? What was the case? That there was a Ben Tesha and there was a Tzara. Was that the case that we said over here? Nasa Isha. This case was that it was a Ben Tesha and he had, what was it called? He had a Bias Bentes. And then also he grew up and married a woman. Do I have the right case over here? I think so. There's only one case over here. That Nasi Isha Acheres who makes and Loyada Sarishon Meshigdil Chaleses Lomas Yabemes Vashnia O Chaleses Lomas Yabemes. What's the Gemara asking over here? That V'yasa Bias Bentes B'Kimamah B'Godol V'Tivchet Tzara Miyibum. How could they do? It says that he could do Yibum to the second one. He has another wife. That's a real wife. So it says that he could do Yibum to the second one. And the kasha is that if you say that also Bias Bentes K'Mamah B'Godol, so usually the din is if you did Mama to one of the wives, then the other wife you can't do Yibum. If you did Mama to one of the wives, you can't do Yibum to the other wife. That's why one of the din of a Mama. There were two wives, right. And did Mama to one. You can't do the Yibum to the other one. So here, so the Ben Tess has din of Mama. So how come it says that the second one, the real wife, it says he can do Yibum or Chalitza. That's what the Mishnah said. It said over here that the big one, what does it say? Vashnia. It says you could do Yibum. If the first one is considered Asu Bias Bentes K'Mamah B'Godol, so then the second one should not be able to do Yibum. That's the most kasha, I think. So V'yasu Bentes K'Mamah B'Godol V'Titchet Tzara Yibum shouldn't be able to do Yibum. Amirav Lo Asu Bias Bentes K'Mamah B'Godol. You're right. It doesn't have the same din of Mama. Bias Bentes is less than Mama. If it would have been Mama, then it would have stopped the second one from doing Yibum. It doesn't have a din of a Mama. Shmuel Amar Asu V'Asu. Shmuel says yes. Ram says no. Shmuel says yes. They did. So then the kash comes back. Means if you hold that if you hold that also Bias Bentes K'Mamah B'Godol, so the kasha was so here also the Yasu Bias Bentes K'Mamah B'Godol and the Tzara shouldn't do Yibum. The Yasu. The answer is Tanoi. So he says there's Mahogis Tanoim if what? If it's Docher Tzara. Hach Tana Dabo Achim Gaza Mishum Tzara Vashmin B'Godol Wadin B'Kotan. V'hai the Amar B'Godol Mishum De B'Godol Koi. V'hai Tana Docha Sfir LaYasu V'Log Asu V'Log Gaza Mishum Tzara Vashmin B'Kotan Wadin B'Godol. V'hai the Amar B'Kotan the B'Kotan Gaza. The Kotan Koi. If it's okay, I'll leave this Gemara out also, and that's to the Agarata now. This Gemara here, the Gemara said a pshat to answer the Mishnah. Now the rest of the Gemara is Agarata, and at least we can get that. Azla Rebbe Lazar Amar Lishmai Debei Midrash Abel Amar Mishmei Rabbi Yochanan. Rebbe Lazar said this pshat. We just finished studying a pshat in order to answer the Mishnah, and Rebbe Lazar said this pshat in the Beis Medrash, and he didn't say the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan is one who said it. It says here, V'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said this pshat. Where is that? Rabbi Yochanan. V'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan. V'yasu, and it was a teres tanoi, whatever this pshat was. I don't know what it is. And he said it in his Medrash. He didn't say the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Show me Rabbi Yochanan Dikvid. Rabbi Yochanan was upset that Rabbi Lazar said something that he got from him. He got it from Rabbi Yochanan, and he didn't say it in Rabbi Yochanan's name. The Gemara then is going to say why it was so important to say it in his name. But Rabbi Yochanan was upset that he didn't say it in his name. Ola Gaber Rabbi Amir Abbasi, so Rabbi Amir Abbasi came to appease Rabbi Yochanan. Amulei Loka Chaya Maisa. So they told him, wasn't the story in the basic message? So it's a case history. But Nega Sheish Baroshak, this is a certain halacha about that's like a pole that has a ball on top of like a metal pole, and it's a question about if it's considered a kli, if it's whatever the halacha is over there in Erevin. Nechluku bar Abulazar Rabbi Yossi. There was a machlokus between Abulazar and Rabbi Yossi. Ad shekoru Sefer Torah b'chamosan. They got so angry in the Beis Medrash that they tore Sefer Torah in their anger. The Gemara says that happened. Korah Sakadaita. They tore Sefer Torah. No, for sure not. Aleima shenikra Sefer Torah b'chamosan. That they were in the midst of the argument. They were looking in the Sefer Torah. Some say that he pulled it that way. He pulled it that way. They were trying to find the place, whatever it was, and the Sefer Torah got torn. And the Gemara sees a terrible thing that a Sefer Torah got torn in the midst of the machlokes. Vayasham Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma. Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma was there. Amar Tamei Ani that I wonder, like, that this thing could happen. That if they had a machlokes to such a degree that Sefer Torah tore, so it's not going to be a wonder if it's one day going to turn into a base of Avodah Zarah. And that's what happened. That it happened, that it came into a base of Avodah Zarah. So that's what Rabbi Amir Abbasi wanted to appease Rabbi Yochanan, that there shouldn't be a machlokes, that there shouldn't be that calm down the machlokes, because you see what machlokes could bring to such a kind of a state that happened over there, and they said it became a base of Avodah Zarah. So it's not proper that there should be a kpeda amongst the chachamim. They told Rabbi Yochanan that he should calm down, forgive, he should be appeased, but he got even more angry. He got more angry. That they're treating me, my student, Rabbi Lazar, you're calling him like equal over there. Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yossi, that story, they were equals. They were equals. They were peers. So over there, they had a machlokas. But over here, my Talmud is being such a chutzpah. So you compare now. You're even comparing my Talmud to be equal to me. So he got even more angry. So Yaakov came to Rabbi Yochanan, Amalei. So he set up shot that did appease him. It says, "Kasha tziva Hashem as Moshe Avdo, Kain tziva Moshe as Yoshua, v'chein asa Yoshua, lo hesek glavim yikol Hashem tziva Hashem as Moshe." Pasuk in Yeshua, it says, "Whatever Hashem told Moshe, his servant, so did Moshe tell Yeshua, and so did Yeshua do. He didn't veer from anything that Hashem told Moshe." That's the pasuk in Yeshua. That everything Hashem told Moshe, Moshe told Yeshua. Everything Moshe Yeshua, Yeshua. What do you say, Rabbi Lazar?
I mean, the one who had a machlokas on Rabbi, who didn't quote his rabbi.
You don't say anything yet. So far it says that as Hashem commanded Moshe, Moshe told Yeshua, and Yeshua did.
Right.
He didn't veer anything that Hashem told Moshe. Everything that Yeshua did, does he say that Moshe told me? That it says, Kain Siva Moshe as Yeshua, v'chein asa Yeshua. V'chein lo yisid dav yikol Hashem Siva Hashem as Moshe. Every time Yeshua did something, he told me, Moshe told me. V'chi al kol davar she'amar Yeshua ha'yomer lehem kach amar li Moshe. No, Eli Yeshua Yoshe v'dorish, stam. He didn't have to say Moshe by his name each time. I'll call Yodin, Shetaroshe Shal Moshe. Everybody knew that Moshe. Where did Yeshua get it from? He got it from Moshe.
I'm not getting the idea.
New story.
Yeah.
It says that everything Moshe got, he told Yeshua. Everything Yeshua got, he did. He did. And the pasuk makes it sound like that Moshe told him. Did he every time that Yeshua did something, he said, Moshe told me? No. Rashi on that?
This time he told you. This time it's written, but not all the time.
The pasuk says that everything Yeshua did, he did from Moshe. Even if he didn't, the pasuk says openly that Yeshua did everything that Moshe told me. But it doesn't say each time that Moshe told, Yeshua told everybody, Moshe told me. It doesn't say, Yeshua surely didn't say, but the pasuk testifies that everything he did was from Moshe. And it means that everybody knew that, because Yeshua Yoshe v'dorishtam v'chol Yodin shetaroshe shal Moshe. So too, that was the appeasement. When Rabbi Lazar says something in the Beis Medrash, everybody knows that you're the Rebbe. So even if you didn't say the name of your name, everybody knows where you got it from. So he doesn't have to say each time that I got this from Rabbi Yochanan. So that appears to Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Amir Abbasi, how come you don't know how to say an appeasement the way, who is this? Rav Yaakov Aridi. He knows how to appease. So that's why, so Rabbi Yochanan first was angry because it wasn't said in his name. And then when they said that, everyone knows that it's in your name. If he doesn't say so, it's also good enough. And he was happy with that. Now the Gemara goes, how come it's so important to say something in his name? Now starts a new point. Rabbi Yochanan.
Maybe go to the other. It's not the Mila.
Okay. The Gemara doesn't say that over here. The Gemara is going to say, Rabbi Yochanan, my time, ik kapit kuli har. Why was he so angry? What's the difference if he said in his name or not? Tam Rabbi Yehuda Rav, my dechsiv, or gu abolcha olamim, that David HaMelech said, I will live in your ohel forever. But it says the word olamim, which sounds like two worlds. Can a person live in two worlds? What does it mean? I'll live in your tent for worlds. What does that mean? That David davened that they should say things in his name in this world. Here's Rabbi Yochanan himself. That if they say over things that he died already. but they say over in this world things that he had said, so his lips are going to be moving in the kever.
We talking about Rabbi Shimon, Yochanan?
Rabbi Yochanan said this in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and that's the reason why Rabbi Yochanan himself was so mad that people should say it in his name. It sounds like even if they say it, but they don't say it in his name, he doesn't have that milah. And that's what it sounds like, even though the Dvar Torah is really from him, but if they don't say it in his name, so he doesn't have this milah. That's what it sounds like. They should say it in his name. Rabbi Yitzchak ben Yazir, Rabbi Shimon Nazir.
Even though Rabbi Yochanan was still alive.
Yeah, but he wants the people to know that his mama, that when he dies, they should still be saying it in his name. If they're going to say it in Rabbi Elazar's name, so then it's not going to be affecting Rabbi Yochanan in the grave. So Rabbi Yitzchak ben Ziri said, and some say Shimon Nazir. It sounds like this Shimon was a Nazir. It sounds like Shimon Nazir, that he was a Nazir. Micro, where do you see in the pasuk the remnants to this point that when they say over thing Divrei Torah of a person who said in his lifetime, so his lips move. It says V'chikech ki ein atov v'lech l'dodila me'shavim dovev shevsei shenim. What is the vev shevsei shenim? Ki komer shel anovim. So they say komer means not the word komer. We use the word komer. It means when you have the grapes that are piled up in a vat in order to ferment. So everything's bubbling over there. When it starts fermenting, you touch it. It says here ma komer shel anovim. When you put your finger in, so it starts bubbling, it starts fermenting. That when they say over a word from him, a divine thought from him in this world, but now Gemara says Dafka, we say his name. That's the chiddush of it that I would have thought what's the difference. But it says Dafka was said in his name. I don't know why that should be. This Gemara alone, I would have said nothing to do with the name, as long as it's saying over the Dvar Torah, and he's the source. But Rabbi Yochanan said, no, Dafka, you say it in his name. That's why he was makbid that they should say over his Dvar Torah in his name.
In other words, he was still defending his original head pater.
Yeah, the only reason why he appeased is because everyone knows that it's Rabbi Yochanan. That was what he appeased him. That's just like Yeshua. Whenever he says anything, everyone knows that it's Moshe. So whenever Allah talks in the Beis Medrash, everybody knows that it's from Rabbi Yochanan. But otherwise, he would have been makbid. Say it in my name. I have this. Here it sounds like once he's 20 years old, then that's enough to prove that he's a soros, and he's not anymore a katan. There's a katan and there's a soros. So a soros means that he's sterile and he's adult. He's an adult, but he's not sterile, but he's an adult. And here it says he's called a katan still. That's the Moaskashi. Here it sounds like there's no difference between a Ben Tes or a Ben Esrim, as long as he didn't bring stays hours, he's the same status.
So Torah 20 plus 1, even though he doesn't bring 2 stars, it's called a gadol.
That's the Moaskashi. That's the Moaskashi over here. That once he's 20, if he's already 20,
and he still doesn't have 2 stars.
so then it's considered a gadol.
Yes.
And here Amish sounds like he's a katan still. And it says
they're talking up until 20, but not.
it says Ben Esrim. It says here Ben Esrim. It sounds like even
Sounds like he's already.
Echad Ben Tes, Echad Ben Esrim. It sounds the same thing. The Chodesh Lo Miyabin, and also the same thing. And it says he's the Soros. The Chodesh Lo Miyabin, and the same thing by a girl. Basesrim Shana V'Lo Shlo Yeviyah Shtei Saros Yeviyah V'Ayishi Basesrim. The eyewitness. That's the proof that she's an. Plus, that's the proof that she's an eyewitness. And even though she doesn't have 2 Saros, we still say that she's a Gedola and she's an eyewitness. But not that she's a Ketana still. And he was saying that it's considered still a Katan. That's the most contradiction. The Gemara answers, there's one more condition. It's not enough just to be 20 without any years. It also has to have Simonim. We had it in the Gemara, it spoke about 9 Simonim of a service and 4 Simonim of an eyewitness. It spoke about the voice. And what else did we have? If anybody remembers, the hair, the texture of the hair. I forgot, beard. I forgot all the details, but it spoke about, and by a woman, that she has a manly voice. Those were the things that it said that there are simonim besides that. So here it says that here means to say it has to be 20 plus simonim. Without the simonim, then it's still considered a katan. So what you know that 20 is enough to be considered a gadol because there's no hair. So one more condition. There has to be also simonim saris or simonim islanders. If there's no simonim, so then still a katan. And then the Master Kasha. First, before that, that the words we learned a second ago, it says, so I learned that it means, and then he's a Soros. If he's 20 without Soros, then he is a Soros. But the Gemara says it doesn't mean that. It means bring a Raya, Shuban Esrim, and also that he's a Soros. Means you have to bring 2 things. You have to bring, like it says sometimes, bring this Mismachim. You have to bring, what else? What do you have to bring? You have to bring 2 things. If you're a Raya, first of all, he's Ben Esrim, and also to bring a Raya that he's a Soros. That's necessary to bring Simonim that he's a Soros. Not that it happens automatically. It isn't automatic that if he's 20 without 2 Soros, he's a Soros. he has to bring a proof that he's a Saras, means that he has to have Simonim. And now the last question is going to be, and if he doesn't have Simonim, is there any limit? How old, what's he going to be? He's going to be, how old does he have to be in order to say that he's a gadol already, and he's a Saras? If he doesn't have Simonim Saras, he's 21, 22, 23, when are you going to say that Adkan, he's a Saras? Which I say is 35. That once he's 35 and he doesn't have, then for sure that it's not going to come anymore, and he's Saras, even without any Simonim. If they bring to Rabba somebody who was, I guess, 20, that's probably 20. Any Rashi on that? Where's the Rashi? Yeah, about 20. If he was 20 and he came to Rabba and he didn't have Simonim, so before he would talk about if he's to see if he's a Saras or not, so he said if he was big, if he was if he was scrawny, a thin guy, they would say, feed him, get him, fatten him up. The Ibori, if he was overweight, then we'll tell him Zila Khashu, skinny him up. Sometimes the Simonim, the two hairs, sometimes it falls out because he's too skinny or because sometimes he's too fat. So sometimes, so whatever it is, try the other way. Maybe that'll be able to have two Saras before we go on to think he's a Saras. Like first do this kind of check.
Do some kind of.
So we'll try to fix up whatever we left out. Try to fix tomorrow.
Great job.
Okay. Wasn't so good, but I don't know why it's recorded, but okay, it's recorded, not to be publicized.
Posterity.
Yes,